Rain hammered against the window so hard it sounded like thousands of fingers trying to get inside. The old post office was almost empty. Only one man remained, Ethan Carter. He stood beneath flickering fluorescent lights, sorting stacks of undelivered mail into rusty metal bins. Every envelope had a destination. Every name belonged to someone waiting. That was what Ethan believed. No letter deserves to be forgotten. His mother used to say those words every night before bed. 10 years had passed since she died. He still whispered them to himself. A loud crack of thunder shook the building. The lights blinked once, twice, then returned. Ethan sighed and reached for the final pile. One envelope slid from the stack and landed at his feet. It wasn't wet. It wasn't old. It looked as if someone had placed it there only seconds ago. Cream-colored paper. Dark blue wax seal. No postage stamp. No return address. Only his name. Ethan Carter. His heartbeat slowed, then stopped. The handwriting. He knew it. He had spent years trying to forget it. His mother's handwriting. No. His fingers trembled as he picked it up. His mother, Clara Carter, had died in a fire 10 years earlier. He had seen the funeral. He had stood beside the grave. Yet every curve of every letter was unmistakably hers. The room suddenly felt smaller. The rain outside grew louder. Slowly, he broke the wax seal. Inside was a single sheet. Only 8 words. Don't let them burn the last letter. Nothing else. No signature. No explanation. Just those 8 impossible words. Ethan stared until the ink began to blur beneath tears he hadn't realized were falling. Then, the lights went out. Complete darkness. A metallic crash echoed across the room. Someone was inside. Ethan! The whisper came from somewhere behind him. He spun around. No one. The emergency lights flickered on, painting everything in a dull red glow. The envelope. Gone. Someone had taken it. Hey! A shadow sprinted toward the back exit. Ethan ran. The old wooden floor groaned beneath every step. The stranger shoved open the emergency door and disappeared into the storm. Cold rain slammed into Ethan's face as he burst outside. The streets were empty. Only puddles reflected the orange streetlights. Ahead, a dark figure ran between abandoned warehouses. Ethan chased without thinking. His shoes splashed through ankle-deep water. His lungs burned. The stranger never looked back. How could anyone know about that letter? Who was it? Another flash of lightning illuminated the alley. For one split second, Ethan saw the figure clearly. A long black coat, leather gloves, and a silver pendant shaped like a tiny mailbox. Then darkness swallowed them again. The stranger vanished. Only silence remained. Ethan searched every corner. Nothing. Except another envelope. It lay perfectly dry in the middle of the flooded alley. His breathing stopped again. Same paper. Same handwriting. Same wax seal. This time the message inside was longer. Go home. Do not answer the phone at exactly 9:17. His watch read 8:58. What is this? He looked around. No cameras. No footprints. Nothing. Someone had to be playing a cruel joke. Had to be. He shoved the letter into his jacket and walked home beneath the relentless rain. His apartment overlooked the harbor. Small, silent, unchanged for years. His mother's framed photograph still rested beside the window. She smiled in the picture, holding a stack of colorful envelopes against her chest. You always said letters find the people who need them, Ethan whispered. So explain this. He placed the mysterious note beside the photograph, then laughed. A nervous laugh. I'm losing my mind. The clock ticked. 9:10. He made coffee. 9:13. The kettle whistled. 9:15. His phone vibrated once. Unknown number. He frowned. Spam. Probably. It stopped. Then, 9:17. The phone rang again. Loud enough to make him jump. He stared at the screen. Unknown caller. His hand reached toward it, then stopped. The letter. Do not answer the phone at exactly 9:17. Coincidence. Nothing more. The ringing continued. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Finally, it stopped. Silence. A notification appeared. One new voicemail. His chest tightened. He pressed play. Only static. Then, very faintly, a woman's voice. Ethan. His blood turned cold. Run. The message ended. He replayed it again and again. Each time the voice sounded more familiar. His mother's voice. Impossible. The apartment suddenly felt freezing. A knock echoed at the door. 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Ethan? A woman's voice. Real. Alive. He opened the door. Standing there was a young woman in a soaked green jacket holding a notebook against her chest. Dark hair. Sharp eyes. Confident smile. I'm Maya Brooks. She looked directly at the envelope lying on Ethan's table. I think someone delivered the wrong letter. Ethan didn't move. What are you talking about? She hesitated, then quietly asked, did your letter come from someone who's already dead? Every sound in the apartment disappeared. Rain, traffic, everything. Only those words remained. Ethan slowly nodded. Maya's expression changed. Not surprise. Recognition. I was afraid you'd say that. She stepped inside before he could answer. From her bag, she removed 6 old envelopes. Every one of them had different names, different dates, different handwriting, but they all carried the exact same dark blue wax seal. My brother received one of these 2 years ago, she said softly. He disappeared 48 hours later. Ethan looked from the letters to Maya, then back again. For the first time that night, he realized he wasn't the only person searching for impossible mail. Outside, hidden across the street, someone watched the apartment from inside a parked black car. The silver mailbox pendant glinted beneath another flash of lightning. A gloved hand hand lifted a radio. A calm voice whispered only 4 words. He opened the letter. The radio crackled. Then another voice answered. Begin phase 1. The engine started, and the black car slowly disappeared into the rain. P.A. Last Letter, Part 1, Section 2. The apartment fell silent. Ethan stared at the 6 envelopes spread across his coffee table. Each one looked almost identical. The same cream-colored paper, the same dark blue wax seal, the same impossible feeling that they didn't belong in the real world. Maya carefully sat down across from him. I know this is hard to believe, she said. It was impossible for me too. Ethan looked up. Who are you? I'm an investigative journalist. She slid an old press ID across the table. I stopped chasing stories 2 years ago. Why? My younger brother, Noah, disappeared. She gently touched one of the envelopes. 3 days before he vanished, he received one of these. Ethan unfolded his own letter again. Don't let them burn the last letter. The words hadn't changed, yet they somehow felt heavier. What did your brother's letter say? Ethan asked. Maya hesitated. It said, she swallowed, when the lighthouse goes dark, don't follow the crying child. Ethan frowned. That doesn't make any sense. It didn't then. She reached into her notebook. A newspaper clipping slipped onto the table. The headline read, Locale La Tosuf, Furs pour Fayor during storm. The date matched the day Noah disappeared. Maya continued quietly. They found his car parked outside the lighthouse. No signs of violence, no footprints, no body, just his phone. She unlocked it and handed Ethan a photograph. The final picture Noah had taken showed an old wooden mailbox standing alone in the middle of a dense forest. There were no houses, no roads, just the mailbox, painted dark blue, exactly the same color as the wax seal. A chill ran through Ethan. My mother worked at a post office, he whispered. She loved letters. Maya nodded. I know. Ethan looked up sharply. What? I've been researching this for 2 years. She opened another folder. Inside were dozens of photographs. One stopped Ethan's breathing, his mother, standing beside a smiling group of postal workers. The picture looked recent, too recent. Printed in the corner was the date, 6 years ago, 4 years after Clara Carter was supposed to have died. No. Ethan picked up the photograph with shaking hands. This has to be fake. I thought so too. I had it examined. No editing, no manipulation. It was taken exactly 6 years ago. His mind refused to accept it. He remembered the funeral, the coffin, the ashes, the tears. How could someone attend their own funeral and be photographed years later? A loud vibration interrupted the silence. Ethan's phone. Unknown number. Again, Maya immediately stood. Don't answer it. It might be important. It never is. The phone stopped ringing. A text message appeared instead. Only one sentence. Look outside. Both of them slowly turned toward the rain-covered window. Across the street, a little girl stood beneath a red umbrella. She couldn't have been older than 10. She wasn't moving. She wasn't waving. She was simply staring at Ethan's apartment. In her hands, she held another envelope. Who is she? Ethan whispered. I don't know. Maya grabbed her jacket. Come on. They rushed downstairs. Rain soaked them instantly. Cars hissed past on the wet road. The little girl smiled, then turned and walked away. Wait! Ethan ran after her. She disappeared around the corner. He followed. Empty street. No child. No footprints. Nothing. Only the envelope. It rested on a park bench, perfectly dry despite the storm. Ethan picked it up. Inside was another handwritten message. At 10:02, someone will die. His watch read 9:56. What kind of sick game is this? He muttered. Maya looked pale. Every prediction in Noah's letters came true. Ethan forced a laugh. People don't predict the future. No, they don't. 6 minutes. The rain eased. Traffic slowly returned. People walked by, laughing, carrying groceries, completely unaware of the impossible countdown unfolding around them. 9:59. A city bus stopped nearby. A young man stepped onto the crosswalk, headphones covering his ears. 10 o'clock. A delivery truck sped toward the intersection. Too fast. 10:01. The traffic light malfunctioned. Green in every direction. Drivers slammed on their brakes. Horns echoed through the street. The young man kept walking. He never looked up. 10:02. The truck struck him. The impact echoed like an explosion. Everything froze. People screamed. The envelope slipped from Ethan's fingers. Exactly 10:02. Exactly as written. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Maya couldn't speak. Neither could Ethan. This wasn't coincidence anymore. Someone had known, or someone had made it happen. As the crowd gathered around the accident, Ethan noticed something strange. An elderly man stood on the opposite sidewalk. Unlike everyone else, he wasn't looking at the victim. He was looking directly at Ethan. Calm, expressionless. The old man slowly raised one finger, pointing toward the harbor. Then he turned and disappeared into the fog. Did you see him? Ethan asked. Maya nodded. Yes. Who was he? I don't know. But she stared toward the harbor. I've seen him before. Where? In one of Noah's photographs. Before Ethan could ask another question, a police officer approached. Excuse me, were either of you close enough to witness what happened? Ethan opened his mouth, but another voice interrupted. They weren't here. A tall man wearing a dark raincoat stepped between them and the officer. Silver hair, weathered face, kind eyes. I saw the whole thing, he said calmly. The officer nodded. Come with me, sir. The stranger briefly glanced at Ethan, only for a second, just long enough to whisper, if you want answers, come to Blackwater Lighthouse. He walked away before Ethan could respond. Maya watched him disappear. Her face had turned white. I know him. You do? She nodded slowly. That's Samuel Reed, the lighthouse keeper. The last person who ever saw my brother alive. Miles away, hidden deep within a forest that appeared on no modern map, an ancient mailbox stood beneath towering pine trees. A hooded figure unlocked it. Inside lay a copy of the letter Ethan had just opened. The figure smiled. So he finally believes. Behind the mailbox, half hidden by mist, an old wooden sign leaned against a broken fence. Its faded letters were barely readable. A.S.H. Chalo, population 1,284. Someone had scratched a single word beneath it, forgotten. The rain had finally slowed to a mist. Police lights still flashed behind them, painting the wet streets in pulses of blue and red. Neither Ethan nor Maya spoke. The accident replayed in Ethan's mind over and over. 10:02. The letter hadn't guessed. It had known. Maya broke the silence. Blackwater Lighthouse is about 40 minutes from here. You really think we should go? Ethan looked down at the folded letters in his hand. I don't think we have a choice anymore. The road to the lighthouse followed the coastline. Dark cliffs dropped into a restless ocean below. Waves crashed against jagged rocks with enough force to shake the ground beneath the car. Fog rolled across the road in slow waves, swallowing the headlights every few seconds. This place feels... Ethan began... forgotten. Maya finished. He nodded. Almost every mile marker was rusted. Several road signs had been scratched beyond recognition. Then they noticed something strange. Every mailbox along the road had been painted dark blue, exactly like the wax seals. None of the houses nearby looked occupied, yet fresh footprints surrounded several mailboxes. Someone was still collecting mail. But who? Ethan whispered. Blackwater Lighthouse emerged from the fog like a giant shadow. It stood alone on the edge of a cliff. Its white paint had long faded to gray. The lantern at the top was dark, just like the newspaper clipping Maya had shown him. An old bell hanging beside the entrance swayed gently in the wind. No one touched it. Still, it rang once. The sound echoed across the sea. The heavy wooden door slowly opened. Samuel Reed stood inside. You came. His voice was calm, almost as if he had expected them. You knew we would, Maya said. Samuel smiled sadly. No, I knew the letters would bring you. The inside of the lighthouse smelled of salt water and old paper. Books filled every shelf. Maps covered the walls. Hundreds of letters were stacked inside wooden cabinets. Some looked decades old. Others appeared freshly delivered. Ethan froze. You've been keeping them. Samuel nodded. I've been protecting them. From who? Samuel's expression hardened. The people who burn them. Silence settled over the room. Finally, Ethan stepped forward. My mother. Samuel closed his eyes. I knew Clara. Was she alive? No answer. Please. Samuel slowly walked to a dusty wooden table. He placed an old photograph in front of Ethan. It showed 6 people standing outside this very lighthouse. Samuel. A younger woman Ethan instantly recognized as Clara. 3 strangers. And a little girl, the same girl from the park, the one with the red umbrella. She looked exactly the same. Not younger, not older. Exactly the same. Ethan frowned. When was this taken? Samuel turned the photograph over. Written on the back, October 18th, 1999. Maya stared. That's impossible. The girl hasn't aged. Samuel quietly replied, that's because some mysteries don't follow time. Lightning flashed outside. For a brief second, the entire room glowed white. Then darkness again. Ethan's heart pounded. What is Ash Hollow? Samuel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he lit an old oil lamp. Its warm light filled the room. Ash Hollow was once a town. Families. Schools. A post office. A place full of ordinary people. So what happened? The government said there was a chemical explosion. And? Samuel looked directly into Ethan's eyes. They lied. The room fell silent again. They erased the town. Why? Because some things are easier to destroy than explain. Samuel unlocked a heavy cabinet. Inside were dozens of maps. Every official map showed empty forest. Then he unfolded a hand-drawn map. A town appeared where no town should exist. Roads, homes, a church, a railway station, a post office marked with a red circle. Across the top, A.S.H. Hollow. It's real, Maya whispered. Samuel nodded. It has always been real. Then why isn't it on any map? Because someone wants it forgotten. Ethan pointed toward the red circle. My mother worked there? Samuel hesitated. Yes. What was she doing? Protecting something. What? Samuel looked away. The last letter. The words hit Ethan like a wave. His mother's message returned to his mind. Don't let them burn the last letter. She hadn't been speaking metaphorically. She had meant it. Suddenly, bang! A window exploded inward. Glass scattered across the floor. A small metal cylinder rolled into the room. Smoke. Gray smoke poured from it instantly. Down! Samuel shouted. Everyone dropped behind the table. Outside, footsteps. Fast. Organized. More than one person. Samuel opened a hidden compartment beneath the floor. Move! Ethan hesitated. What about the letters? I'll get them. Another window shattered. Dark figures surrounded the lighthouse, their faces hidden beneath black hoods. Every one of them wore the same silver mailbox pendant Ethan had seen in the alley. One voice echoed from outside. Hand over the Carter letters. No one answered. A loud crash shook the front door. Again. The old wood began to splinter. Samuel shoved a leather satchel into Ethan's hands. Take this. What is it? Clara trusted me with it. I'm trusting you now. Before Ethan could open it, Samuel grabbed his arm. Listen carefully. This is the most important thing you'll hear. Ethan nodded. Samuel's eyes filled with fear. Everyone who follows the letters disappears. The front door burst open. 3 masked figures stormed inside. Samuel slammed the hidden hatch shut behind Ethan and Maya. Go! The narrow tunnel beneath the lighthouse was cold and damp. They crawled through darkness, hearing muffled shouts above them. Then, a gunshot. Everything went silent. Ethan stopped crawling. No! Maya grabbed his arm. We have to keep moving! Another explosion shook the tunnel. Dust rained from the ceiling. Behind them, flames began creeping through the wooden passage. Someone was trying to burn the lighthouse, trying to burn every letter inside, just as Clara had warned. After several desperate minutes, the tunnel opened into a sea cave beneath the cliffs. Moonlight reflected across the water. A small wooden boat waited at the shore. Inside, another envelope. Ethan's hands trembled before he even opened it. The familiar handwriting stared back at him. Trust Samuel. Even after tonight, he looked back toward the burning lighthouse. Black smoke climbed into the night sky. If Samuel is dead, Ethan whispered, why would Mom tell me to trust him after tonight? Before Maya could answer, a child's voice echoed through the cave. Soft, almost playful. You opened it. Both of them turned. Standing at the edge of the cave, the mysterious little girl watched them. Her red umbrella was gone. She held a lantern instead. She smiled, then quietly asked, do you want to know why your mother never came home? The lantern suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed the cave, and somewhere within the darkness, someone else laughed. P.A.L. asked letter, part 1. Section 4 final. The cave was swallowed by darkness. The little girl's lantern had gone out. Only the distant roar of the ocean remained. Ethan's breathing grew heavier. Who's there? He called. No answer. A faint laugh echoed through the cave again. Not cruel, not friendly, almost familiar. Maya switched on the flashlight from her phone. The beam cut through the darkness. The girl was gone. Only wet footprints led deeper into the cave. Did she disappear? Ethan whispered. No, Maya replied. She wants us to follow. Neither of them liked the idea, but there was only one path. The tunnel climbed upward through damp stone until a rusted iron door blocked their way. Someone had recently opened it. Fresh scratches covered the lock. Ethan pushed. The door groaned open. Cold morning air rushed inside. They stepped into a forest unlike anything they had ever seen. Towering pine trees blocked almost all sunlight. The silence felt unnatural. No birds, no insects, only the wind. The leather satchel Samuel had given Ethan suddenly felt much heavier. He opened it for the first time. Inside were 3 objects: an old brass compass, a faded photograph, and a small leather journal. The photograph showed Clara standing beside the Ash Hollow post office. She was smiling. On the back, in her handwriting, were 6 words. Every letter remembers its destination. Ethan closed his eyes. For the first time in 10 years, he felt close enough to his mother to hear her voice. After nearly an hour of walking, they found abandoned railway tracks disappearing into the forest. A weathered sign leaned against a broken post. Most of the letters had faded. Only 2 words remained visible: S.H. Hollow. Maya brushed away the moss. Ash Hollow. So it was real. Before Ethan could answer, the brass compass spun wildly. North, south, east, west, round and round. Then it stopped, not pointing north, pointing toward an old mailbox hidden beneath vines. It was painted dark blue, the same color. Again. Ethan slowly opened it, empty, except for a single carved symbol inside, a circle divided by a straight line. The same symbol the little girl was drawing. Maya whispered. What does it mean? I don't know. A twig snapped behind them. Both spun around. Nothing. Only trees. But someone had been watching. The railway tracks finally led them to a rusted steel bridge stretching across a deep gorge. Half the bridge had collapsed years ago. Crossing it seemed impossible, until Ethan noticed wooden planks placed across the broken section. Someone maintained this path. Someone still crossed here. Halfway across, Maya stopped. Listen. Voices. Very faint, carried by the wind. Children laughing. Church bells ringing. Dogs barking. An entire town seemed alive beyond the fog. Then, silence. The sounds vanished. What was that? Ethan asked. I don't know, but I don't think we're alone. As they reached the other side, the fog slowly lifted. Ethan froze. An entire town stood before them. Ash Hollow. Old brick buildings lined empty streets. A church with shattered stained glass windows. A schoolhouse covered in ivy. A diner whose sign still read, Open, although no one stood inside. Old bicycles rested against fences. Laundry still hung from clotheslines. Coffee cups sat on windowsills. Everything looked as though the townspeople had simply vanished in the middle of an ordinary day. No decay, no vandalism, just silence. This doesn't make sense, Maya whispered. It looks abandoned, but not forgotten. They walked cautiously through the streets. The town clock had stopped at exactly 3:17. Every calendar inside, every shop displayed the same date, October 18th. No year. As though time itself had refused to move forward. Ethan looked through the dusty window of the post office. Rows of undelivered letters filled wooden shelves, thousands of them. Waiting. For someone. A sudden creak echoed from upstairs. Both looked up. A curtain moved. Someone had been standing there. They rushed inside. The building smelled exactly like Ethan remembered from childhood. Paper. Ink. Old wood. Hello? Only silence answered. Then footsteps. Running. Ethan chased them upstairs. A door slammed. He burst into the room. Empty. The only thing left behind. A warm cup of tea. Someone had been there seconds earlier. Back downstairs, Maya stood frozen. Ethan. He hurried over. She pointed toward a bulletin board. Pinned to it were dozens of missing person posters. Some were faded. Some looked brand new. One photograph made Ethan's heart stop. Noah Brooks. Maya covered her mouth. He was here. Pinned beneath Noah's photograph was a handwritten note. He chose to stay. Before either of them could react, the church bell rang. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound rolled across the empty town. Windows opened. Curtains moved. Shadows crossed rooftops. Someone was watching from almost every building. Ash Hollow wasn't empty. Its people simply didn't want to be seen. A soft voice came from behind them. You shouldn't have come. They turned. The little girl stood in the middle of the street. No umbrella, no lantern. Just a folded piece of paper in her hands. My name is Lucy, she said. You know my mother? Ethan asked. Lucy nodded. I promised her I'd wait. For me? For the last person she'd ever send. Ethan's eyes widened. What does that mean? Lucy held out the folded paper. I can't answer. She already did. It's for you. The paper wasn't folded at all. It was an envelope. Fresh, dry, untouched. Tomorrow's date was written neatly in the corner, July 18th, addressed to Ethan Carter. His hands shook as he broke the seal. Inside was another short message, only 9 words. Do not trust the first person you see tomorrow morning. Ethan looked up. Who wrote this? Lucy smiled sadly. Your mother? No, she's dead. Lucy slowly shook her head. No, that's only what they wanted you to believe. Before Ethan could ask another question, a deep horn echoed through the valley. Every light inside Ash Hollow suddenly went out, one by one. Doors slammed shut. Windows closed. The streets emptied in seconds. Lucy stepped backward into the darkness. They're coming, she whispered. Who? The ones who burned the letters. Black vehicles appeared at the entrance to the town. Their headlights pierced the fog. Dozens of armed figures climbed out. Each wore the same silver mailbox pendant. One of them raised a loudspeaker. "This is your final warning. Hand over the last letter." Ethan looked down at the envelope, then back toward the approaching convoy. His mother's words echoed in his mind. Don't let them burn the last letter. For the first time, he understood. This wasn't just about finding the truth. It was about surviving long enough to protect it. The convoy advanced. Lucy disappeared. The first gunshot shattered the silence. And somewhere, hidden inside the darkness of Ash Hollow, someone whispered Ethan's name. End OF Part 1.